In my past episode, Seasons of Learning, I share how I relate the spring season to learning as the sprouting and conceptualization of ideas. I'm your host, Hurley, sharing with you the Learning Essentials podcast on episode 11, Spring Has Sprung. Let's engage students in learning. I believe teachers want their learners to be highly engaged in the classroom most of the time. They want every learner to participate actively in class discussions and activities. This aspiration is more easily said than done with the shifting dynamics in the classroom. Strategies which are effective in one group of learners may not be effective in another. Nonetheless, teachers must keep on trying and, like spring, allow new ideas to sprout. Spring provides new beginnings. This is the time to cultivate new practices. This is the time to deliver a unique environment that makes ideas have new development. Reflections and actions are necessary tools for every educator. Let's think of these questions. What classroom dynamics do learners primarily engage? How do teachers create classroom dynamics that matter to every learner? I consider some successful practices tips in teaching adult learners in school and ESL environments. Tip number 1, let learners talk. Like small talk, allow anyone in the group to share and provide inputs on specific topics. Make sure that everybody has the chance to speak and be heard. Encourage those who shy away from talking to speak out about an issue or subject matter. Also, consider topics appealing to your learners to engage in conversation, focusing on familiar and trying the unfamiliar. Tip number 2, let learners demonstrate. Sometimes we ignore the fact that learners would like to learn not only the ones specified in school, but even ordinary things that each of us does. Providing learners with space to share their culture, food, hobbies, and interests by way of illustration, examples, and presentation builds learners' trust and confidence in the learning process. I often call this tip STAR, by giving learners their space, time, attention, and recognition. Tip number 3, let learners visualize. Some learners are visually inclined, and we have to consider our learners' different learning styles and interests to capture their attention. One strategy that works best for me is using photos or images. Allow learners to think and reflect on some memories and experiences captured from images. In this way, you allow the thinking and expression to blossom as learners deeply engage in reflections. Tip number 4, let learners write. Writing is an equally important skill when engaging learners in classroom activities. Aside from traditional writing exercises, learners write emails, blogs, and journals to express and connect with people personally and professionally. These practices allow learners to expand their ability to use different mediums in writing, both in print and digital. Tip number 5, let learners listen. A few others identify themselves as auditory learners. Listening to music, recorded conversation, and podcast stimulates the learning routine by making the body senses aware and active. Provide learners with enough resources to explore their auditory abilities. Tip number 6, let learners play. Using interactive media helps initiate learning. We can use games, online quizzes, polls, web searching as ways to engage our learners with the technology around us. We are not only building connections with them through the popular online platforms and applications available, but being one with them in using the medium responsibly and safely. These tips works best with my learners. What's yours? Let the new ideas sprout to engage our learners more, for spring has sprung. Let the buds of learning come into play. Thank you for listening, following, and subscribing. Happy spring!